All right, so here's the practice test for Unit 2. Number 1, we're putting 2 into the p function. So it's 3 times 2 to the 4th power minus 18 times 2 to the 3rd power plus 12 times 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 2. Type all that in the calculator and you get negative 54. So p of 2 is negative 54. Number 2, zero product property. So when you want to know the zeros of the function, you set each factor equal to 0. So it's really nice when your polynomial's factored because you just have 3 little baby equations to solve instead of solving a big polynomial in standard form. So when it's factored and you want to know the x-intercepts, you want to know when the function is 0. So instead of the whole function being equal to 0, you split each part up, set each part equal to 0. We've done this like a whole bunch of times. Subtract 5, add 3, and here you got to do 2 steps. We're going to add 5, and then we're going to divide by 2. So x is 5 halves, or 2.5, or you could do 2 and 1/2. Okay, either answer is that. Okay, number 3 is really asking about number 2. So here's number 2 written out. I'm just instead of doing this and this, I just have it written in one place here. Okay, so we want to know the degree of it. So you define the degree from finding the leading term. So the leading term comes from multiplying 2x times x together. So you got to multiply your leading things together to get your leading term. So that'd be 2x cubed. So that's your leading term, which means it's a 3rd degree polynomial. And the leading coefficient, LC stands for leading coefficient, is just 2. The constant comes from multiplying the numbers together. So it's negative 5, negative 2, and 5. This times this times this is 75. So the answers are 75, 2, and 3. Okay, next page. We are going to write this in a 3rd degree polynomial. So you're going to say f of x is equal to, change the sign. So instead of x equals negative 7, we write x plus 7, right? It's going backwards. Instead of x equals 8, we write x minus 8. You know how the connection between x minus 8 and 8. And then here, this is 15, right? X is 15, so we write x minus 15. So we got 15, negative 15 goes with the answer of 15, minus 8 goes with 8, and then negative 7 matches with x plus 7. And so there would be an equation. Okay, number 3, we're going to divide this out. So we get x plus 11, and we're dividing that into x to the 3rd plus 10x squared minus 23x minus 132. So we pick out x squared. Why do we do that? Because it matches this. So when I subtract it, it goes away. And then plus 11x squared. We pick up the red pen and subtract, but I'm using red, so I'm going to subtract with blue. And this subtracts away. 10 minus 11 is negative 1x squared. Then we got to make this match, so I pick out negative 1x. Negative 1x times x is negative 1x squared. This times this would be negative 11x. I subtract, which means this is going to be addition. This is going to be addition, so it'll be negative 12x minus 132. Then I pick out negative 12. That makes negative 12x and negative 132. When I subtract this, I get 0 because this becomes addition and that becomes addition. So now we know that this factors into x plus 11, which I told you, and then x squared minus x minus 12. This is equal to the original function p of x. So this and this are the same because the two outside things multiplied together to make the inside thing. So then we have to split it up into its linear factors, and we get x, and then what, minus 4 and plus 3? That would make negative 1 and 12 right there. All right. So that's how this breaks down. Now, once you have something factored like this, then you could set each factor equal to 0 to find the x-intercepts. So I try to break the problems into parts. Now it's asking us to do the whole thing, but it's x squared instead of x cubed. So we set it equal to 0. It's not factored, so we want to factor it so I can set factors equal to 0. -9 and -1 would be the factors. 0 product property. Because -9 and -1 make 9, and then when you add -9 and -1 make -10. Okay. And there's your two answers. Number 7. When this becomes large, like 10 million or something like that, maybe 10 billion, we have 8 over a large number. So when you have 8 over a large number, basically this is becoming 0. So what happens to the function? It becomes 0. So when you put a larger and larger number, the whole function heads towards 0. It becomes 0. You're not allowed to divide by 0. So if you make x as 2 and you put 2 in there, 2 minus 2 is 0. So x equals 2 is the vertical asymptote. Okay, we love our binomials, so we hug them. So we put them in parentheses, and then we cross multiply. 10 times this would be 10. 2 times this. Distribute. 40 minus 10x is equal to 8 plus 2x. Get the variables on one side, numbers on the other. So what we need to do is we need to, I always like to move the smaller amount of the x first. So I'm going to add over the 10x. So it's 40, drops straight down, 8 plus that and that makes 12x. So we have 8, so we're going to subtract the 8 over. That gives me 32. Divide by 12, and you get x is 32 divided by 12. And that is 2.6 repeating when you divide it on the calculator. Okay, the last question is the formula. The formula is the sum. S stands for sum. That's not a 5, that's an S. Is your starting amount, 1 minus the common ratio to the nth power. That's an n, over 1 minus the common ratio. So you start off with the amount of $100. 1 minus. Now this is interest. It's getting bigger, right? It's getting bigger, so that means that we have to go up. So that means that's be 1.03. If you just put 0.03, that you'd be losing 97%. No, we need to gain 3%, so it has to be 1.03 for 30 years. So the exponent is 30 over 1 minus 1.03. Okay. So it is 1 minus 1.03 to the 30th power times 100, and then 1 minus 1.03. Use the parentheses, type it in, and you should get the answer of $4,757.54. And that's it. That is the practice test. Good luck.